long career. So let me introduce first Dr. Agnès Ricroche. She's an associate professor of evolutionary genetics and plant breeding at AgroParisTech in Paris. And she also carries her research at the College of Interdisciplinary Studies at Orsay University and holds a PhD in genetic resources and plant breeding. And she has supervised many, many students. And also she teaches classes of genetics and plant biotechnology. Now, Agnès has received, and I'm on the first name with Agnès because I've known Agnès from 2003 actually. And we all actually know Agnès from 2003 because she was involved in the SUSPROT project. I was not that much involved, Agnès, with that project in the beginning, but in 2008, when Agnès, myself, and Shelby Fleischer, we started thinking about writing a book on plant biotechnology, and then we accomplished our first book. And good news is that Agnès and I have another faculty member from Agnès' group. We have finished a second plant biotechnology book, which is coming out next month. But I think it's not about me. I think what I'm going to say that Agnès has received several awards, and one of the very prestigious award that apart from she's being a secretary of the life sciences section of Academy of Agriculture of France, she carries the title of Chevalier de la Légion d'honneur, right? Which means the knight, which she's like a knight, that sort of honor, which is also called Chevalier of the Legion of the Honor, or something like that. And pardon my pronunciation, which is actually the highest honor established by the French Republic. Agnès has been a visiting scientist. She's an adjunct professor at Penn State since 2012. And she has also been visiting professor at several universities in Australia, in UK, and in the US. And I think further ado, I think I want to hand it over to Agnès. Dr. Ricroche, please take it from here and give us your thought on the Europe's place in the new plant breeding landscape today. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Surinder, for inviting me to give a talk on this subject. And I would like to thank you, all of you, to attend this meeting. So, as you know, European Union consists of 27 member states since the UK left the EU on January 21st last year. And regarding transgenic plants, approval of a transgenic crop costs approximately between 11 and 17 million euros and takes an average of 6 years. So these procedures take a significantly longer time than those in supplier countries like in the US or in Brazil, Canada, or Argentina. So these deficiencies in the speed of authorization continue to lead to situations where products are approved for commercial use outside the EU, but not within the EU. So this asynchronous approval can result in trade disruption. So is this trend changing with the use of NBTs? So I would like to focus on this question and to try to give you some evidence. So there is only one biotech crop, the BT corn from Monsanto, which is approved for cultivation in the EU. It's resistant to the European corn borer, and it's used locally as animal feed. Globally, area plant in BT corn in the EU is 102,000 hectares in last year. So there is today only 2 countries which continue to cultivate BT corn: Spain, which represents 96% of the total area, and Portugal, the remaining 4%. As you can see, a lot of countries before decided to grow a BT corn, but for political reasons, they prefer to stop and to ban the BT corn cultivation on their own territories. So last year, the share of BT corn in total corn area represents 1.14%. So these numbers are coming from the Foreign Agricultural Service in the USDA. In France, we stopped to cultivate BT corn in 2007 not because of scientific reason, but for political reasons. And indeed, politics and consumer misperception play a central role in the EU decision-making process. So in Italy, the European Food Safety Authority is an authority which publish opinions. And the EFSA risk assessment requirements are becoming more stringent because of concerns that the resultant scientific opinion will be over-scrutinized. So as a result, it costs millions of dollars or euros to submit an application to the EU. And an important new directive in March 2015 allow member states to restrict or ban the cultivation of EU authorized GM plants, so the BT corn, in their territories for non-scientific reasons. So 19 member states in red in this map have opted out of GM plants cultivation for all of part of their territories, included France, Germany, Italy, etc., except UK, except Spain, except Portugal. Just few words regarding exports. So the EU does not export any GM crops or plants. GM corn produced in the EU is used locally as animal feed and for biogas production. Regarding imports, the share of EU imported GM products is estimated at 90 to 95% for soybean products, over 20% for corn, and less than 25% for rapeseed. And these products are coming from Argentina, Brazil, Canada, Paraguay, or United States. So, genome editing to improve plant breeding now use massively side-direct nuclease. And these nucleases are included in the new plant breeding technique. And the new plant breeding technique were named by the European Commission. So they include TLN, meganuclease, zinc finger nuclease, and of course, CRISPR-Cas system. So these three types of events are produced by using side-direct nuclease on plants, SDN1 for random repair, for insertion deletion, SDN2 for gene modification, allowing allele replacement, for example, and SDN3 for DNA insertion of a new gene from the gene pool of the plant or from the same variety. In the EU, there is a long-standing debate about whether or not these techniques lead to products that are subject to the current European GMO legislative framework, the so-called directive. Since an expensive and costly authorization procedure should be avoided for end products that contain no foreign DNA or are completely indistinguishable from conventionally bred crops. On 25 January 2018, there is a very important event because the Court of Justice of the European Union issued its judgment that organisms created through many newer genome editing techniques are to be regulated as GMO in the EU, following a request from anti-GMO organization. The vast majority of scientists in Europe are deeply concerned about this European Court of Justice judgment on genome editing. They warn they could put an end to a promising field of research in the EU. Anti-biotech groups are opposed to innovative biotechnology. They are actively campaigning against this technology in France, Germany, Greece, Ireland, Italy, Slovakia, and even in the UK. The priority of food industry and retailers is to adapt their products offerings to consumer perception. However, currently there is low awareness of agricultural application of innovative biotechnology such as CRISPR-Cas9 among the general public. So what's the research using CRISPR-Cas system in the EU? So I would like to present you patents, field trials, and research projects currently or in progress in the EU. So with my colleague, we established a patent landscape of CRISPR-related innovation. For that, we screen 3 patent databases with more than 10,000 entries. We clean up manually, and we consider more than 2,000 patent families as CRISPR patents. And we made different annotations regarding these patents. So this is the geographical repartition of these total patent families. And we can see that United States is the first country editing patents, followed by China and far away Europe, with United Kingdom and Germany and France. If we look at the evolution of total patent families, we can see that China is producing a lot of patents, and it will be a very difficult competitor for the USA. Europe is very far away from this course. If we look at the agricultural application in the annotation of patents, we can see that China ranks the first, followed by United States and Europe, in particular Germany and Netherlands. So private companies fill 27% of plant patents, while filled 5% of farm animal patents. And DuPont Pioneer in the US as the private company which fills the most patent, followed by a German company, KWS SAT. So the subcategory related to plants consists of technological improvement, molecular production or specific metabolic changes, research model, and plant breeding, of course, on rice for the Chinese, maize for the American, wheat for the European, tomato, potato, tobacco for China, the US, and Europe. And then cotton, nut glass, oilseed plants, sorghum, and pasture plants. Regarding traits, they are linked to male sterility, mostly, biotic stress, and plant stature, architecture, and pollination and flowering, plant aging, fruit shelf life, and haploid breeding, seed quality, metabolic changes, yield, and stress resistance like drought resistance. So the conclusion on these classifications, we can observe a string of highly diverse applications. In such a dense patenting long chain, we can address this question: is freedom to operate possible? Of course, for the European researcher. We observe a switch in balance of forces in favor of China with a massive investment, a new patenting strategy, and the use of patent as an economic protectionist tool. And the question now is Europe losing this new biotech battle because of GM bans, which have a negative impact, very counterproductive regulation on genetic modification, and an hostile cultural climate against innovation in using a kind of precautionary ideology. And we can mention that in a European patent, you have to include ethical consideration. So we can see in this slide that China catches up in papers. The American publish the most CRISPR-related papers, and then Germany, United Kingdom, Netherlands, France, if I want to focus on European countries. But China lies in citation. The US author dominated situation to CRISPR studies, and China are not, the Chinese papers are not so much get citation. But Germany, United Kingdom, and the Netherlands have the most cited papers in Europe. So as Europe plays a minor role in the patent landscape, as you can see, we gathered field trials carried out in Europe to examine the breeding program in progress since 2002, and more recently from January 2015 to March this year. As CRISPR-Cas is a new tool used in breeding program in 2015, and since March 2015, member states have the possibility, you remember, to adopt legally binding acts restricting or prohibiting the cultivation of GM plants. This is the opt-out directive. So for these two reasons, 2015 is a year really important for the breeding program in Europe. So since 2002, 19 countries carry out field trials. Spain, France ranks the second after Spain. Germany, Sweden, Romania, Netherlands, United Kingdom, Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Portugal, Denmark, Belgium, Finland, Italy, Iceland, Ireland, and Lithuania. 35 crop species were studied. The most crop is maize, followed by potato, cotton, sugar beet, poplar, rice, brassica, wheat, tobacco, and Nicotiana bentamania, Arabidopsis as a model plant, barley, black milkshake, apple, citrus, flax, plum, soybean, camelina, pear, etc. So many breeding programs have been implemented with a maximum of 124 fields in 2006. But strict regulation implemented by the EU led to the drop of field trials since this 2006. So we can count a total of 881 field trials in this period. So is this trend changing with the use of ENBTs? So we focus on all field trials carried since 2015 as an opt-out directive and as a CRISPR-Cas emergence. In this period, a few field trials, 52, were conducted or in progress. Only 9 countries are still carrying out field trials compared to the 19 countries. So between 2015 and 2021, 11 countries have renounced field trials: Denmark, France, Germany, Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Lithuania, Portugal, and Slovakia. So Spain and Sweden are ranking first with 30.7% and 25% of the field trials. The UK, which may be removed from the member state list, is holding the third place with 17%, coming next Belgium and Czech Republic. What is interesting to note is the 2 most populated European countries, France and Germany, do not implement anymore field trials. So the traits of biotech plants are linked to agronomic improvement, are linked to nutritional improvement, biotic stress resistance, industrial application, and abiotic stress resistance. So we can see in detail the traits we are tested in field trial. The traits the most tested is oil quality, followed by fungal disease resistance, wood biomass increase, pathogen resistance, abiotic biosensor, biomass production, drought tolerance, growth characteristic enhance, increased starch content, increased yield, rooting ability, sucrose synthase overexpress, alkaloid composition, anthocyanin, biofortification of vitamins, enrichment in squalane, and different vitamin production, delay flowering, herbicide tolerance, iron content in biofortification, less amylose starch, regulating sulfur metabolisms, photosynthesis efficiency increase, root system enhance, rootstock ability speech in peach and apricot, accumulation of molecule anti-VIH, cathelicidin peptide for human antimicrobial peptide, recombinant human tumor necrosis factor. And they are tested in 16 crop species. Potato is the most tested crop, followed by maize, wheat, poplar, tobacco, as in the previous period. Camelina, canola, plume, apple, barley, crumble, pear, pickle grass, rice, soybean, and sugar beet. So the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences is carrying a lot of trials at the moment, followed by the John Innes Center in the UK, the VIB in Belgium, the Institute of Biotechnology in Spain, the Rothamsted Research in UK, the institute in Spain, and different institutes in Spain, University of Lleida, Biomass Booster, Centro Nacional Biotecnologia. So Spain with Sweden and UK, of course, are carrying a lot of field trials. But we can mention Romania, the Netherlands, Finland, Czech Republic, and Poland. So if we look at the CRISPR-Cas system, only field trials up to now are carried out by Spanish, the British, the Belgian, in tobacco, camelina, maize, and canola. And the traits include agronomic improvement for alkaloid composition in tobacco, modified growth characteristics or such as delayed flowering in tobacco, modified oil synthesis in Camelina sativa for nutritional improvement, abiotic biosensor for a signal of environmental abiotic stress at DNA level in maize, such as a drought condition for abiotic stress resistance. And they carry out two kind of varieties in 2 different years in Belgium. And for canola, the trait is linked to regulating sulfur metabolisms, determining the role of the NIB28 gene for agronomic improvement. So we look now at the research projects which are carried out in Europe, because the success of a breeding program depends on its adequate positioning within the set of innovation adopted by breeders. So in Europe, there is a website, Cordis, which counts EU-funded projects. And Cordis counts 23 projects using the new breeding technique, the CRISPR system. EU appears to have invested more than 34 million euros in this project, such as implementation of CRISPR-Cas technology in melon to edit fruit ripening, cauliflower virus genes or for improved resistance to abiotic stress in cereal, banana for fungus resistance against the devastating Panama disease in Wageningen in the Netherlands, reducing acrylamide in processed wheat in Rotterdam, UK. So for you, I draw these tables to see the different 23 EU-funded projects. Donc, so Spain and UK are the country which get a lot of money from Europe to carry out this their project. Alors, plant genetic determinants controlling harvestable mycorrhizal fungal go through the plant cell wall, improve resistance to abiotic stress in cereal, lead blight resistance in crop varieties, a multidimensional CRISPR-mediated engineering of plant breeding, to target DNA recombination factor, mechanisms of natural autoimmunity with using CRISPR to knock out the NLR loci from different genome of different Arabidopsis accession, tracking and targeting a tDNA vector for precise engineering and plant genome. It was carried out in Israel. Israel is not part of Europe, but because there are some European partners in this project led by Israel, this project is included in the list. In Spain, there is edition of fruit ripening in melon. In UK, they have new insight into wheat meiosis. Meiosis recombination is also used in studied in Arabidopsis and other crops in UK. At the John Innes Institute, they studied the banana in and out engineering resistance against the disease. And in UK, they have a big project, DISCO, analyzing the diversity germplasm for capsicum and yam and different plants from Iridaceae, potato, and medicinal Solanaceae. In Spain, they are studying disease resistant and Compositae and Rosaceae. And finally, in Spain, they are studying reproductive success in tomato and rice under high ambient temperature. In Spain, they are looking at a temperature modulation of plant immunity. In Germany, they are studying molecular invention underlying the evolution of the nitrogen fixing root nodule symbiosis. In Denmark, they are studying genetic knockout of competing metabolic pathway. In UK, they are studying for maximizing the potential of crop wheat, barley, orchid rape, and potato. In UK also, they are using CRISPR to knock out gene in adaptation of sieve elements in wood. In UK also, they are studying control hotspot location in Arabidopsis. In Germany, they are studying the history of adaptation in an island model, Cape Verde Arabidopsis. The Netherlands are studying the role of plant primary and secondary metabolism in pollination. In Israel, again, they are studying engineering of two-missional factor for winning high-quality potato. And the Netherlands is studying multi-purpose crop and including chicory, for dietary fiber and medicinal terpenes. So I would like to mention another consortium, the New Oceania project to fight the COVID-19 pandemic with 19 industrial and academic partners from 8 European countries. And the leader is Spain with a partner in Australia. So the New Oceania project is using the CRISPR technique in cultivated tobacco and in Nicotiana mentamena as a tool for the production of useful biopharmaceuticals. And the project is releasing the genome sequence to all teams working on fighting the COVID-19 pandemic in the hope that will accelerate the discovery of new biopharmaceutical in this complex genome composition of Nicotiana mentamena. So during the first lockdown in March 1 year ago with my colleague, molecular genetics. Dominique Job, Hubert Lot, Georges Pétier, and myself, we write a French chapter in our book released in September last year by the Academy of Agriculture of France. So what do MBT change in terms of risk assessment is a big question. So the EFSA GMO panel issued scientific opinions on how to implement or adapt existing guidelines for the risk assessment of specific NBT. So the last scientific opinion is linked to site-direct nuclease 3, 2, and 1. And the GMO panel did not identify new hazards specifically linked to the genomic modification produced via SDN1, SDN2, or oligonucleotide direct mutagenesis, as compared with both SDN3 and conventional breeding. Furthermore, the GMO panel considers that the existing guidance for risk assessment of food and feed from GM plants and the guidance on the environment risk assessment on GM plants are sufficient, but are only partially applicable to plant generated via SDN1, 2, or OGM. Indeed, those guidance documents requirements that are linked to the presence of exogenous DNA are not relevant for the risk assessment of plants developed via SDN1, SDN2, or OGM approach if the genomes of the final products do not contain exogenous DNA. So in conclusion, the EU and the New Zealand are the only legislation where genome-edited plants are considered and regulated as GMOs, while many other countries move to exempt genome-edited crops. So I am a member of this European consortium, is a big one, and I am a member of the core group of this consortium with 330 participants. And we try to make evidence-based policy of edited plant in Europe in a 5 working group. So the genome editing policy in Europe is obstructing the development of new trade and is negatively influencing governance decision and trade worldwide. Europe will import agricultural products modified by transgenesis and by new breeding technique from USA and China, which are the leaders in the world. Only UK, which is outside the European framework now, retains the freedom to carry out research with the latest genetic and genomic tools. But hopefully, in Spain, researchers are very active, and we hope that they will count for a new regulation to open the freedom to do research using this new breeding technique. So I would like to thank you very much for your kind attention. And as Surinder Chopra, I thank you very much. Told you at the beginning, our second edition of the book will be released pretty soon in May. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agnès. And excellent talk and update on the European stand on the even the CRISPR-Cas is a no there. That's really interesting.
Yes.
I think I'm going to open this for questions. I'm sure there will be a lot of interesting questions. Please, you can go ahead and ask the questions. No need to write in the chat.
I have a question that might be a little bit too technical, but would the European Union potentially accept rootstock of a tree or something that had been CRISPR edited. Yeah, again, I'm sorry if that's too technical.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, for instance, if we were able to create a low cadmium accumulating cacao, what produces chocolate rootstock, and then have a non-transgenic scion, do you know if the EU would restrict that for imports? Again, I know that's very technical.
No, I really don't know if European Union restricts that or not, because the European Court of Justice released its judgment in 2018, and we are still waiting for a new directive. So we don't know if this judgment will impact of the rooster. We don't know yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Christina.
Yeah, sorry. It's more than a question, is a observation. So I remember studying in Italy, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago, and I remember we had more freedom, a little bit more freedom to use transgenic crops at that time. We were working a lot with the UK, but you know, we had to be careful where we were planting our trials, because you know, people would come and smash. And I'm very surprised that eventually the European Union allows to import, you know, so much transgenic material, so like corn, soybean, and we are not allowed to produce it. So that doesn't seem to be very smart at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you, because a lot of consumers do not know that European Union has to import proteins through soybeans from the US, from Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil. And so they don't know that most of the poultry fed transgenic soybean. But more and more private companies import non-transgenic soybean, because there is a new market of chicken fed not GM soybean. And of course, organic food does not allow GM soybean in animal feed. So we don't know with the NBT if we have, for example, a new edited soybean, it should be considered as a GMO or not, and should be avoided by some farmers, because some consumers prefer no edited and no GM product.
Thank you.
It's a kind of paradox.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Thank you. That was a great talk.
Thank you, Christina.
Are there any questions for Agnes? Agnes, I can ask you one question. So, you know, you explained in the last answer that you answered for the question of Christina. So do you know that what is the actual opinion of the consumer, like in Europe or in France, especially, maybe looking at Spain, it may be not so much of a issue. Seems like consumer is accepting. But what about the rest of the Europe where we see less number in terms of the acceptance or in terms of the release of the trials? Is the consumer basically driving the scene, or is it the administration or the regulatory agencies driving the scene?
Yes, it's an important question because there is a correlation between the number of field trial and the freedom of doing research on GMO and edited crops and the acceptance of the consumers. For example, in Spain, people accept that researchers are doing research using transgenesis and new breeding technique. There is no vandalism compared to France. There are some explanation. The first one is the political explanation. When countries ban transgenesis for political reasons, consumers prefer not to buy GM products. They don't know why the government bans the cultivation of the BT corn, for example. But in the doubt, they prefer not to buy some products. There is another reason is the newspapers. There is a lot of misperception of GM research and editing research. And in the newspaper, you can see fake news. And so the consumer is lost. But in UK, at the BBC, in the morning, every morning, there is interview of farmers. And they are talking of GMOs and edited crops. And sometimes scientists are invited to explain their research. And we know that in UK, there is less vandalism than in France. Probably because consumers are more educated in farm issues, in agricultural issues, and in research using biotech than in other countries. And probably the reason that UK is really open to innovation.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dr. Ricroche, Anias? If not, we can stop the recording, Rob, and we can just open